I'm going to say that again. You're going to remember. So when you do it face on, so down the line, it's halfway between the ball and your toes. When you're face on, you've got to make sure you're exactly 90 degrees to your parallel lines, which means if your parallel lines are this way, you've got to be exactly 90 degrees to that line. Otherwise, your ball position is flawed, your aim is flawed, all of that's flawed. So just make sure that your dad or whoever's doing the filming is right in the middle of that. Okay. All right. Let's look at the club, what it's doing first, and then we'll talk about why I think it's doing what it's doing. Your path, I mean, no offense, is all over the place. Sometimes it was 6.7 to the right and 4.5 to the right, and you hit 1.7 to the left, and then you went and said, "Oh, I don't want to say left." So I'm going to be looking at path, and then I'm also going to look at angle of attack. Angle of attack, you can see that sometimes your divots are really deep and down. We talked about that a little bit last time. And then occasionally you would hit 110 or low on the face too. Um, yeah, your angle of attack is killing me. I'm debating on whether or not I start with your grip first because that's such a hard change to make, especially going into the season right now. But your shoulder playing is not very good, not only at address, but all the way through the swing because you have such a big spacing between, see how far down your right hand is compared to your left hand? So the more that your hands are spaced apart, the more it changes your, see how high the shoulder is right now? It's because your right hand is further down the shaft and it really it changes your shoulders. That's why I think sometimes you hit it fat and thin. It's because your shoulders get this too unlevel there. It's because your hands are so spaced out. And it makes your right hand so dominant in your golf swing. I don't know if you feel that, but see how I can see your whole left thumb there? I'd really not, I'd love to be able to see that your hands are closer together and your right hand a little bit more neutral. You see how far underneath your right hand is? That's why you hook it. And the reason you hit it fat and thin sometimes is because your shoulders are so unlevel that the average tour player is probably 10 or 12 with 23 degrees open with your shoulders. And then the last thing, the reason I asked you if you work out is because of your knee flex. You have high hamstrings, and it's good. Do you have a foam roller? You do? You ought to start getting on that foam roller and start rolling out your hamstrings. Whether you stretch them out or not, just the roller will actually do that for you. So it's not very hard to do. You just lay on one leg and put the roller underneath. You just leave all your weight on that leg and you just roll up and down. I think it's in that locker, but you know what a foam roller is. Yeah.
I've got three of them at home. We do that this afternoon.
Yeah. I got three of them at home.
Do you? All right.
Because what it does is it causes you overflexion here in your legs. See how far your kneecaps are outside your balls of your feet? They're actually up on your toes there. I think most of your swing issues are really just setup related. And I would tell you that I don't think I would change the position of your hands that much other than both hands getting closer together. There's you interlock motion. So you have a really big gap in here, so your right hand is way far down the shaft. If I could just get this hand to slide up, it covers that thumb more, and your hands are closer together. It would level out your shoulders more. So let's do that for a minute. I'm going to put up the full part of this for a second. That's the time of here. How tall are you? So let's just stay with Grip just for a second. You can see that his hands are just closer together, so his shoulders are not his angle as much as yours. His right hand is yeah, more neutral. So if you just pulled your right hand up and got your right palm more in that position under, that shuts the face. So that's number one. So in number two, I'd like to see your knees not quite as flexed as they are. So we'll talk about your grip and get your shoulders a little bit more level. While we're here, let's just look at this language for a second. Stop it right there. All right, so that's the top of y'all's swing. And what do you see different there?
Elbow. Left elbow. Distance.
Look at just the shaft for a second. So would you say his swing arc is wider or narrower than yours?
Narrow.
His arc is narrower? The width of the arc. How wide is the sort of wider? Wider, right? Yours is narrower. The shaft is behind your head. His shaft is much more up. So his circle is bigger, right? And you're wider. Now, if you looked at where the arms are, the biggest difference, you kind of said it just a minute ago, was your right elbow is different. And certainly your wrist is really collapsed. And I think that's partly because of grip. I think sometimes you collapse your hands because of the spacing. Your right hand's almost off the club right there.
Yeah.
His right hand is still attached to the club. Your left arm hasn't swung much further back than yours, right? His right elbow is different than yours. Pivot's about the same. Right, so let's watch transition just for a second. I don't know why this is sticking a little bit. What do you see different here? You see those goofiness? How much you lean back away from the ball there? Like you hit it back sometimes. You end up going with that. Instead of staying more level. Again, I think a lot of that's your setup.
Now, should I feel on my backswing?
Okay.
Should I feel more coming around, or should I feel more coming that left shoulder down?
All right, come over here. Let's go look at it from a different angle. So I'm going to let you answer your own question here. Because I think you know the answer to that without me telling you what the answer is. I want you to figure it out. See, right before you take it back, what you do with your legs there? Some of that's your hamstring, doesn't promise you. You're trying to load your pivot, your hips correctly, and you do it by squatting your legs. See how squatty you do it with your knees there? Watch how tall he stays with his legs. You didn't see the squatty motion of the legs. All right, I'm going to stop it when it's halfway back. Stop it right there. Not terribly different. I said the club face is what's mostly different. That's because you grip, right? But as far as the path, it's not terribly different. This is where you start getting in trouble. You talked about feeling slightly laid off, right? There's the top of this thing. There's the top of your swing. What's different?
Elbow.
Bathroom this way.
Yes, sir. Halfway down the hall, take a left. And then,
All right, thanks.
and then take another left. So what's different there?
Right arm.
More under the shaft? It's away from his chest. It's just more under. Yours is more. Okay. So what do you think the cause of that is, though? This would be the only thing I would tell you on your backswing. Everything else is actually good because that's what messes up your transition. Where's his left arm in relationship to his shoulders, and where's yours? Huh? His arm plane matches closer to his shoulder plane. Here's your shoulder plane. Here's your arm plane. That's why the shaft sits over that way. His shaft is more this way, right? The left arm position controls that. If the left arm plane was more closer to your shoulder plane, it doesn't have to be perfect. His shoulder plane, I can't see his right shoulder, but I can tell you about where it is. It's about there. His left arm plane is there. Alright, so if I were to give you, that's what I see as far as why you get the club so laid off. And your grip is the reason that it's shut and his is more square. Right? So let's watch transition for a second. So this shaft shallows out right off the bat, right? So when you're in a laid off position, you're going to have to reroute the club to get the club back under. You can see you're rerouting the club. Right? The more you reroute it, the more you get the club, in some cases, too far inside. So that's what gets you in. Your shaft gets pointed too far to the right. And then you have to use your hands a lot to square it up.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I'm really handy right now.
You don't have much choice though. If I told you not to use your hands, you know how far you hit it right? You hit it way right. So you can look at the club face on the exit. Let's look at this club face on the exit. Look at the difference in that position of the face versus that. Also look at the path. It's more up and out. His is more in and around. Alright, so I'm going to give you a different visual because you're a little bit taller than Trevor, but I'm going to use Tiger in 2000. If there was one swing that we all marveled at for many, many years and why he changed it, he's got a very low IQ. To go from winning 11 tournaments in a year and every category in golf, he was number one. Distance, direction, speed and regulation, proximity to the hole. Right, so let's stop it right there. Look at the club face just for a second. Again, a lot of this is your grip, right? Your toe is more down, the closed slightly. His toe is more up. And look how his arms rotate to his right shoulder. And watch when you get to this point, watch what your hands do. Y'all aren't that different right now, right? You're not that different other than the club face, not because of the grip, right? Well, watch where his arms are. They're going around and back. Yours are going to go straight up. That's why the shaft's going up. So the left arm plane. That's steep, your left arm is. It's what we call a steep arm plane. So if your arm plane's steep, look where the handle is. So you're going to have to get that club to route back into a plane that's close to where you're trying to get to. You're going to have to almost do the Jim Furyk thing. You're going to have to go around back this way, aren't you? And that's what you probably feel, right? His arms are just going to drop right down in front of him. So the club's right back in front of him. Your club is going to get stuck behind you because of that rerouting of your arm. So that's why your club gets more behind you. His club is more in front of him. See the difference there? Here's his target, just to let you know. Every time I play with it, I say he's going to hit a cut. Let's see if that's true. If you hit a cut, hit a little bit of a baby draw. You would have to hit a hook from that toe. And that's why you end up, look at that toe of that club. You're trying to fight so hard to get that face, to get that ball to go back over here.
But it either stays out there, right?
Look at the exit again of the shape of the swing. So his club came out underneath his, let's say through the middle of his chest. Yours came out over your shoulder. Look at the difference in the face. It's a pretty big difference in club face. Would you agree? All right, so to keep this simple, you're not going to like me very much. All right, let's go for another 2 minutes.